All right, we are back. How's it going, guys?
Good. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, thank you.
Don't lie.
Going through the motions.
Yeah, all right. Not really honestly, pretty detached about this. I haven't been spending a ton of time agonizing. In the past, I would say if we lost 8-3, I'd be livid for like a week. But I've sort of just, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's kind of just been almost business as usual, right? So
I like to
Yeah.
say
I don't
that
know, maybe-
once in a while, if you set your expectation of people and organizations low enough, they'll never disappoint you.
or maybe I'm finally growing up. Who knows?
I mean, that's every Canucks fan, right? I'm kidding. Canucks Nation.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, man. Canuck fans are still pretty. They're always in the sky's falling mode, right? This is sort of, I guess it's not new territory, but right around the time here, we start turning the corner. So
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I'm a little bit envious, guys. I have to admit. I was looking this morning, and the news clip said that Jim Rutherford's sent a memo to every NHL team that the fire sale is about to happen. I'm a little bit envious because the Oilers can't do that, and the Canucks at least have something to look forward to for all the assets they're going to give up. What are you going to get, and how the rebuild's going to go? But we went through all of that, man. We are in the middle of the rebuild's complete. We're supposed to be chasing a cup, and we've got a team coming out of this 7-game road trip. And let's start there. What are your thoughts about the 7-game road trip?
Well, I think we did a bit of back and forth here and try to get organized. So yeah, let's definitely start with that. I think Brendan, the list that you compiled, I mean I agree with most of it. Do we want to start with the complaints or the positives?
Let's just do 7 complaints about 7 games, and then we'll put our optimistic hat on. And we'll try to find seven reasons to be happy about what happened in each of those games.
Can I borrow your hat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's start with the Philly game. So on the list here, we've got the late goal as a complaint. Ahmed, do you have any other complaints from that game besides from that late goal? Was that sort of
No, I think that we kind of walked into that game. I was thinking that the team is going to respond really well and they were going to play really good. But going into Philly, I felt at times Philly took over that game. Don't get me wrong. I think the Oilers played a really solid game, but it should have never been that close. It should have never gone. That was my complaint. And then there we are back in overtime again and kind of fighting for that point.
Well, I mean, I think in that game there was it's been sort of the theme of the season, right? We played a pretty good game, like you said, but there was and I mean, the NHL, like, it's not like Philly is, a terrible team. There isn't a lot that separates the worst teams in the NHL from the best teams in the NHL anymore, right? There's the other team's going to get their push. We just have not, and it's been a season-long thing. We haven't been able to separate, and if we do separate, there's gaps that happen, and we're not getting that big save, right? And I think that was exactly what happened there, and then we ended up in overtime. But that this is probably going to be a positive. Thank God for our review coach, right? Or else we could have lost that game in regulation.
Okay, let's just go through the 7 games. I guess we'll complain, and then we'll find the silver lining, because we might as well just go through it that way. You're right. The goaltending coach in the overtime, or not the goaltender, the video coach in overtime, obviously saved the day. And the fact that they didn't spend 20 minutes looking at Roslovic being offside was also helpful, because it was very, very close to him being offside on the winner.
He dragged his foot though.
He did. It's maybe onside, but I'm glad they didn't spend a long time looking at it, because I think that it could have been potentially ruled the other way.
Possibly. If it was Hyman, guaranteed.
Yeah, for sure. So they go into Columbus a couple nights later, and they give the net to Picard, and he was really struggling. He was missing the puck on a lot of shots, and sometimes they were just missing the net. Sometimes they were hitting iron. I think there were 6 posts during the course of that game.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that in that game, the silver lining was the goalpost, because it could have been a lot worse.
Even the goals, like, you know what? I'm gonna play goal.
We're all as Philly goalies, we're all moving up the depth chart the way that some NHL goalies are playing this year.
Yeah.
The advanced scouting must be pretty good on some of these guys, but when you have a backup goalie whose save percentage is like 85%, that's just It's not going to get it done. So that was another example of Picard just really struggling when he was given an opportunity. That was another tough loss for him. The Oilers stuck around in that game, and the big positive was the last 8 or 9 minutes. I think they were down by a couple of goals. They got it down to 1, and they looked like they were going to tie it for sure. They had some amazing chances. Greaves played really well in the last few minutes, and they missed a couple of looks. But it looked like if they were going to play that way they did in the final 10 minutes, they'd be winning lots of hockey games, but they couldn't get it together.
I'm going to say that a big disappointment for me was the change in McDavid's play from that previous game in Columbus versus Columbus at home, where he was actually driving, and he went back and he's gone back to pass first mentality again. Right. I'd like to see a little bit more of that drive in the first Columbus game to bring us back. The Carolina game, I think that was one where we couldn't protect the lead. Right.
Yeah, they scored a nice third period goal about 5 minutes into the third period, and then about 2 minutes later they gave it right back.
Yeah, I wish we could protect some of these leads. It just seems like the untimely goal has gone against us more times than not.
Yeah, you need to really big save. You know, you got the lead, you got to lock it down.
That's for later. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Ahmed, what about you? Do you remember anything else that stuck out that pissed you off from that Carolina game?
Well, you guys just stated it, losing the lead. I just want one dominant game from the Edmonton Oilers. And obviously the Carolina game wasn't the one I was expecting. Carolina's a good team, but they did show up. They did play. I just want a dominant game from these guys. And like you said, to hold on to the lead. And I'm just not seeing that. It's I think it was Knobloch. I don't know which game it was after, but Knobloch came out and said that even the first goal that the opposing team scored deflated them. That's really telling, because these guys are that fragile. If you are even up by a goal and the other team scores a goal, you're deflated. It tells me that they are watching the goalies, and I'm going to hold this thought, but the team itself is watching the goalies as closely as we are. Yeah. They seem like they're kind of fed up with this.
But there was a mentality last year in the playoffs that if the other team scored, the Oilers are going to get it back. Like there was no doubt that if they're down 1, down 2, no worries, we're going to get it back. Somebody is going to get the goals. And they don't have that same spark at the moment where they have.
It's the other way around, actually, Brendan. It's kind of like we score, we're sure to get scored on.
It's interesting. I mean, you kind of saw this in the beginning of last season as well, where, and then all of a sudden the light switch just flipped, and it looked like we were going to get that next goal. We were confident about it. Yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next game in Buffalo. I mean, pretty simple, 5 goals.
Brutal.
Looked like we were easy to play against. When it was 1-0, I felt like, we battled back to score that goal to tie it at 1, and then all of a sudden we just gave that game away in a matter of I don't even know, 3 minutes, I think it was, right? And then it was just game over.
What is it about the Oil and the Sabres? I mean, their record in Buffalo is atrocious. And I think watching their games, I think they had to get up for the Carolina game. They came out playing, but you go into Buffalo and what do you think? It's a slam dunk win for you? Because that seems to be the attitude with these guys. They're just not, they're underestimating the teams that are a little bit, at the bottom of the league, and they're getting destroyed by them.
It felt in that game, and honestly, it felt like that other team, they smelled blood and they just came at us, overwhelmed us a little bit, not with any crazy tic-tac-toe plays or anything, but they just put us to bed, put us, time to go to sleep, guys. We're the ones that look like a bottom feeder team in that game for most of the game.
I agree.
My biggest complaint about that game is where the Sabres were allowed to skate to with the puck.
Yeah.
So if you've ever played a game of NHL 24 or whatever on easy mode, you get all the space you want. You can skate the puck into whatever part of the offensive zone, and you're not going to get it poked off your stick. You're not going to get checked. You can just skate around everybody. And it looked like the Sabres were playing that game on easy mode because the Oilers were not defending space. They were giving up space in the slot. They were giving up space in high danger chances to make passes or to take shots. And yeah, I'll hold my thought on goaltending, but you're not going to do well when all the shots are coming from 10 or 12 feet away over and over again because there was no pressure stopping that shooter setting up that shot. So that was a big complaint I had in that game. But the positive, I think, was the fact that Jack Roslovic came to play again.
Yeah. What
a great addition. We're supposed to be doing the positives after this.
No, we'll just do them. We'll do them concurrently. I think we're hitting the positives.
You want to hit them concurrently? All right. Well,
I'm getting depressed here, man. We got to do some positives. I'm getting depressed.
We got to go back to the Carolina game because nobody talked about Leon.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, Leon Snipe in the Carolina game was easily the positive. The guy just scores goals when he wants to, and he doesn't maybe shoot often enough, which is crazy to say for a guy that scores like 50 goals perennially. But he can beat goalies without a screen. He can beat goalies without, the deflection. He can just straight up take a shot and beat a goalie clean, which is very, very unusual in the NHL.
Leon is my favorite player. I'm just going to come on and say it. He is amazing, and he can change a game by himself. He can take over a game by himself. But he is part of one of my 7 complaints.
Game by himself too.
Oh yeah, and he has. And this is part of one of my 7 complaints, as positive as we want to get, is that I have noticed. I'm sure you guys have as well. And there's some stats that Gregor was putting out yesterday. But even before I saw those stats, I feel that his body language is I don't give a crap. Lack of a better way of explaining it. Like if they score, they score. If there's a guy standing in front of my net, I didn't get a stick. Oh well, I didn't get a stick. It's again, it goes back to these guys just completely giving up. Like, yeah, we're gonna mess up, but we do expect a save at some point. They're at a point where if I mess up, it's a goal anyway. So who gives a crap? But Leon, over the last 3 years, Gregor ran this note that over the last 3 years, he's averaged 22 giveaways per season at his own end, like on the defensive end. And so far this year, he's already given up 17 possessions on his own end. So he's on pace for over 50 for the year. That's not because he's gotten older, slower, or anything like that. That's just him not giving a crap. And it's obvious on the ice. If you're talking about the Selke, like I said in the previous podcast, how do you come into the season giving up pucks at your own end, left, right, and center? You just can't. You're one of the leaders. You got to take over.
Well, we'll have to table this, I think, because I think I know where this is going. We'll hold that thought. I think that the Buffalo game we talked about Roslovic. He continues to show up. I feel like he's been one of the lone, aside from the first 5 games or so, where he, and it was understandable. He didn't hit training camp. Didn't really, so it took him a few games to go. But ever since then, he's probably been our most consistent player. And even when he's not scoring, he's showing up and he's dictating play, which is great.
Yeah.
My big complaints, so far through all of these games, including the Washington game, which was, Skinner was terrible in that game. But after the game, you mentioned body language. The thing that is starting to really piss me off the most, maybe I should save this until the end, we need to learn from our mistakes. We need to flush this. We need to park this. And we need to learn from our mistakes. We're not learning from our mistakes.
Nope.
Maybe we need to start reflecting and keeping that in the back of our minds so we don't make these mistakes again, because clearly flushing it is not working. Not right now anyways, right? I'm sick of this because this team, it's not a rookie team. I understand there's some new players that have come into play. We've got 6 new forwards. There might be some chemistry issues and stuff, but you know what? The core of this team, I think there was 11 or 12 people that made it to the finals last year that are on this team. Show some goddamn leadership. Take some accountability.
Some
right?
pride, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Washington game.
Oh.
Skinner, terrible. Anything else to add on that on the bad side?
Yeah, like coming out of the second period, like they had somewhat of a reasonable period in the first period. They seem like they've come out to play, and then they come out flat. How many times have they come out flat out of the intermission? Like, it's just unreal. And then Washington just starts piling up on them. I don't understand. Like you said, like flash this, and we're gonna come prepared better. You guys are getting called down in the media, asking you flat out, how do you guys come out flat like that? Like, it seems like you're not even prepared. You come out and thinking like you're on a power play, you're not. And the other team just starts getting goals, or just, at one point they were in their own end for God knows how long, like 3 minutes in their own defensive zone. You can't do that. Like, how long is this going to go on for? These guys are just not getting it. Come out.
The other thing I saw is Tom Wilson runs around and makes a pain of himself, and no one stops him, and there's no one on the Oilers that's doing the same thing at the other end. There
wasn't much in the form of like going back on them and stick-to-itiveness. I agree with that. I think McDavid was ragdolled in that game, and not much is happening, right? Positive side, though, Brendan, you're going to love this. I think we had 3 5-on-5 goals, right?
Yeah, they did. 3 goals at even strength.
Yeah, you're onto something there about nobody stepping up. I think that's another big thing that I had on my list of things I was going to complain about. I think in the Columbus game, their goon, whatever his name is, Olivier or whatever, he had his way. He was ragdolling everybody, and it seemed like the entire team is kind of scared of him. Nobody wanted to challenge him or stand up to him. I know that he got into a fight, but he got his butt kicked, was your buddy Frederick. But at least he stood up. But nobody wanted to deal with that guy. And then they go into, like you said, in Washington, same thing. Tom Wilson had his way with him. Like nobody wanted to even get close to the guy. Like he's kryptonite. Maybe we need a goon.
Hey, hot take: Milan Lucic is available.
Oh, dude, at least he would stand up.
Well, you know what? Tampa game, much better performance, I felt. A lot of positives in that game. Unfortunately, though, could not find that second goal. That was my biggest complaint, and we've seen that theme throughout the year. Our dominating performances, Vancouver was one. Philly was another one. I felt like we dominated, maybe not dominated, but played well. Yeah. Almost wire to wire, and we just couldn't get that goal. And then what happens? Yeah, they score.
Yeah.
Brennan?
Tampa's a good hockey team. I have no idea how they started the year in the bottom of the standings for the first 15 games, but they gave Edmonton fits all night. I think Edmonton was doing really, really well to hold in that game and keep the lead, and they pushed it to the last couple of minutes. And unfortunately, things went the way they did in overtime. But I watched Tampa Bay play against Calgary a couple nights ago, and it was just a murder scene. Like 4-0 on the first 5 shots.
Brandon, what do you think? I mean, the reason why we were in that game was goaltending. Picard has
I think Picard was excellent in that game. That was definitely a positive.
Yeah.
But I also felt like we were battling. We should have been tired, but we battled through. And we had our legs moving. Yeah. And I was not expecting that. So I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. And I think
they were trying for Picard. Maybe they were seeing that this guy's standing on his head, like he's giving it everything he's got, and got the team going. Like this guy is actually making those saves, the ones that should go in.
Thoughts. Florida game. I mean, overall, biggest complaint, same thing. They let them back in that game. They had them dead to rights. So it was 4-1, and then all of a sudden, it was 4-3. Right?
I said frustrating because it started like it's going to be an ass kicking, right, guys? It started like, oh, this is looking good. This is like these guys came back to send a message.
Didn't it look like we sort of let our foot off the gas? I mean, we were coming in, we were hitting all over the ice, and then all of a sudden it looked like we went into prevent mode, right?
That's why it was frustrating. Like, what happened? You're up 3-0, and then all of a sudden you're just gonna give up? Like, that's it? Game over? Come on, guys! Like, before you blinked, it was like, almost tied. I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm glad we won that game, but they're missing Kachuk and they are missing Barkov, right? So that should have been an easy game for the Oil.
Another complaint, you could say the same thing about Tampa. I think they were missing 3 defensemen, right? Their top 3D.
Hedman was missing.
And we still couldn't score more than 1 goal.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to Florida. Brendan, what about the positive?
Against Florida, it was the high point of the year so far, I think, to see Edmonton pull out a win in Sunrise and be able to skate out of there with 2 points. I wish they'd played that game in Game 6 of the finals last year, where they could chase Bobrovsky out of the net and silence the crowd.
And they pushed them around a little bit as well, right?
There were some good moments in that game. They got a couple of lucky goals. I think the Roslovic goal at the start was not high quality, and the Podkolzin goal was just shooting for a spot that he hit.
Hey, you know what the common theme there was? They kept it simple and they put it on net.
Like that.
Right?
That's good.
I'm feeling like, rather than going for that cross pass, putting it on net, good things happen, right?
I think Nurse came out to play in that game, didn't he? It was probably his best game of the year. And I was like, wow, like he stepped up. And let's be, we love capping on the guy, but I'm telling you, he played a couple of really solid games for them. It seemed like he's taking personally.
It's amazing to see the Oilers play against the Florida Panthers without Evander Kane in the penalty box slowing them down.
It's true.
Did you guys see that? I got a complaint here. Did you see that takedown by that Greer guy on Frederick?
The two-leg takedown.
And then he starts trying to punch him and stuff. What a loser. Why would you do that? Unreal.
I mean, I've seen it a lot in rugby.
He didn't get a suspension.
What was that, Brendan?
I've seen that move a lot in rugby, but that's still considered tipping in rugby in most cases. And
I've seen that on WWE.
Yeah.
Frederick, though, full marks because he didn't back down. He went after him. And you know what? Positive throughout this, I'd say the last 4 or 5 games, aside from that Dallas game, which we're going to touch on in a second, Frederick seems like he started to find his legs a little bit. Noticeably faster. I'm not sure about the agility yet, but noticeably faster and noticeably in the play a bit more. That's what I
If-
noticed.
Frederick's playing like a $1 million player, only $3 more million to go. And then we'll-
Yeah.
Well, last game he kind of stepped off again, right? He was missing in action.
Yep. So we leave Sunrise, 6-hour flight. They have a day off. They practice, and it's prime time. Western Conference Final rematch on home ice. Dallas is missing Rantanen, and Dallas is missing another top player. I can't remember who it was, but I don't know what the hell happened there.
Another game where they came completely unprepared and thought that this is just going to be a cakewalk for
Do
whatever
you really
reason.
think they did come in really unprepared though? Because I felt like for the first 2 minutes it was back and forth, and we actually were getting them on their.
I agree with you. For the first 2 minutes, they seemed like they're going to play, but there was another 58 minutes where they just rolled over, showed their belly.
It reminded me of Game 6 against Florida. A lot of that series against Florida, where they don't get the first goal, they don't get the lead. Someone goes down the other end, scores, and they tie. Right? Talk about Frederick. We're jumping ahead a little bit. I think it was the third goal. None of the goals, like if you watched this game, I don't think Dallas ran all over Edmonton. There was 2-on-2s, 3-on-3s, 4-on-3s. Oilers had numbers sometimes. There were 3-on-4s that would end up in the back of the net. One bad play here, 150-50 battle loss there, one bad change. Like on that goal, the third goal, Frederick, I don't know what he's we're coming back in our zone. We've got an even play. There's a board battle. Frederick can support the play, but he decides to go off. And then his guys delayed and they break through. They lose that battle. It's a 2-on-1, right?
This is a lot like the Buffalo game where they just let Dallas get into space.
Yeah.
Right? They were just not
Dallas
taking
wasn't
away the
even
space.
really, you've heard me say this a few times. Marchand in the finals, I don't know if he really scored. It was like Skinner let those goals in, like that breakaway goal in game 2, that breakaway goal in game 5 or game 4, whatever it was. That's kind of what's happening right now. That's what we saw a lot of in the Buffalo game, a lot of in the Colorado game. The thing is, teams are going to have breakdowns, right? If you look very early on in that Dallas game, Oilers broke on. Mangiapane he lost the handle there. The goalie made the save on another one. Teams do break down, but these breakdowns that we're noticing, they're that much more apparent because we're not getting bailed out by a goaltender, right? Now, I don't know if you can really fault that game on the goaltender, but when there's 4 goals on 8 shots and there aren't 8 5-alarm shots, I don't know, man. And even if there are 5 alarm shots, should 4 of them go in? An NHL goalie usually stops, I think, 3 out of 4, right? 5 alarm shots.
Is this our signal that we don't have to hold our thought anymore? We can finally just
Yeah,
talk about
stop holding your thoughts.
I've brought this up, I think, in every podcast we've done since the preseason. The Oilers are not a championship team with these goaltenders, which I thought would be acceptable. Okay, so you're going to be like an average team. You can make the playoffs. You just can't win the Stanley Cup with these goaltenders. And then it started looking like, oh, you're not going to win a series with these goaltenders. And now it's looking like you're not going to get out of the lottery with these goaltenders, right? It's a defensive issue, sure, but it's a confidence in front of these guys. But I saw that text you sent me the other day. It was a graphic somebody made. The Oilers have the lowest save percentage through 25 games.
Since like 79.
Since the 79 Oilers, right?
Since the 79 NHL, they didn't even. Was it theirs or was it the NHL?
I think it was the Oilers tandem. This represents the lowest point for an Oilers tandem through 25 games. But they played an entire decade of 80s hockey where they were playing games 8-7, and they still had a higher save percentage than what the Oilers are producing at the moment as a goaltending unit. So it's just not good enough. Whether it's the goalies, whether it's the defense, whether it's the skills coach, whether it's the mental training coach, whether it's the equipment manager, whether it's the personal chef that's making meals for these guys before the game, some combination of all these things. It's not working. It's not working. Won't work. Can't wait. Just flush the whole season if these guys are your goalies by the end of next week. You're not next week. How many teams are already 2, 4, 6 points, 8 points ahead of Edmonton in the division?
Yeah.
You're running out of track. You think there's lots of time because there's like 50 games left, but you're running out of time.
Yeah.
Because there's too many teams you have to chase. You basically have to chase 6 teams ahead of you in the Pacific, and then the wild card spots. Because suddenly Minnesota's good. You have 5 teams on the other side that are competing for.
You know why Minnesota's good? You
They
got
got a
this guy
goalie.
named
They have a goalie?
Wallstead that we passed on. Thanks, Ken Holland. And just like he was sitting right there for you, nobody thought it was going to fall to Edmonton, and we needed a goalie. And guess what? He decided to trade down and let Minnesota have him. You guys remember that?
Dude.
Now it's come full circle, and the guy's like top 5 in the NHL in save percentage, right?
Yeah, I remember
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing to point out, and maybe it's the hardest thing to fix in the minds of a general manager because of how little Picard and Skinner are getting paid, and you can't actually bring in salary to fix the situation. So you have to trade out one of those goalies, and you might have to move an asset. Like let's say somebody was willing to give you a $5 million goalie. Let's bring up Tristan Jarry's name, for example.
Yeah.
Has struggled in previous seasons, is doing pretty decent this year, but he's getting paid like $5 million a year, and Skinner's only getting paid $2 million. So if you want to get Jarry in and balance the salary, you got to give up Brett Kulak or somebody like him just to get the deal done. And then
either that, or you got to convince them to eat some of the salary, right?
Yeah, why would you? Why would I eat salary getting rid of a backup goalie when I can get an asset in exchange?
Well, let's trade Frederick and Skinner for Jarry. Done. Make it happen.
Jarry's got decent numbers this year. He's at 914 save percentage. I mean, he's played 8 games, but 253 goals against average. I'm looking at his numbers. Why would Pittsburgh let him go right now? I mean, he's there.
They got 2 other goaltenders in the minors that are younger.
Because they've seen Jarry enough seasons to know they're selling high.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. Who else is available though? I mean, his name is coming up right now. Bennington supposedly doesn't want to come to Edmonton. Those are the rumors. And a lot of people are joking, well, as long as Nurse and Bouchard are on the D, he wouldn't want to come here. So who else is available out there that we could go after right now that's got decent numbers? Jarry's decent this year, but, he's made of glass too. So what do you guys think is out there we can go after?
It's really slim pickings. There's a lot of goalies that are out there as backups, and I don't think the team that they're playing for is going to let them go because they're just good, reliable backups. And there's a few backups out there who are surprisingly doing well despite everything. Maybe it was ones we didn't expect to do so well. The name Matt Murray comes to mind. Like no one thought he was going to bounce back, and suddenly he's winning games in Seattle. So good for Seattle for taking a chance and having that work out.
Seattle's got good D though. Like
Jonathan Quick's having a great season. No one expected that at age 40 or however old he is, but they're not going to let him go. Like they're basically turning their season around on the strength of a backup goalie. So there's pretty few candidates seriously and honestly out there. The best you're probably going to do is a retread on a guy who, has played and is probably on the way out and it's kind of bouncing in between the AHL and the NHL. And you hope to somehow figure out that he can play net in that system and be motivated enough to make the saves. And I don't know, there's no one single name that really pops to mind. And I don't see this time of year that there's any goalies that are going to hit the waiver wire. There's no reason to put a goalie on the waivers.
Well, I mean, a few of these teams have 4 goaltenders, right? I think Buffalo's got a couple. I think Detroit has a couple. Ottawa's got a couple. Pittsburgh has a couple. All these guys have, like, maybe they're not legitimate goaltenders, but they've got a bunch of goaltenders. Carolina is carrying 3 right now on their roster. I mean, honestly, I think this is what's going to happen. I mean, this is what's happened in the last few years. Skinner's going to bounce back, find his game, and we're going to think that, we're going to get some wins and, start a winning streak maybe. Picard might get hot, and I think that we're going to forget about this and be like, hey, you know what? Maybe we could do this. He's turned the corner. I mean, that's exactly what happened in the playoffs last year. It looked like after game 2 of the first round, Skinner would have played his last game in the NHL, or for the Oilers anyways. And then what happened, right? Picard goes on this run. He's 7-0, sprains his ankle. He's out. Skinner comes back in, and he played pretty decent in that Vegas series. And he played pretty lights out in that Dallas series. And then everyone, this room included, was like, hey, you know what? Maybe if he can keep this up one more round, I don't want to toot my own horn though, but I was saying that, look, I'm not optimistic, but let's see. And then what happened, right? And I don't know. I see the same thing happening again, and I think we're gonna. I don't know. That's what I see happening, right?
Well, some of the goalies you named there, or teams you named there, their goalies are not doing much better than Skinner. I know we mentioned this offline just beforehand. It seems like majority of goalies in the NHL this year are not doing tremendous. But the numbers Skinner has are compared to other goalies not as bad. It's the timing of the goals. Picard, on the other hand, is at the very bottom of the league, even for a backup. Like he's at 850 or less.
When you say they're not as bad, I agree with you. The timing of the goals, but also the goals themselves, the difficulty level of these saves. Like there was that 2-on-1 goal or the 3-on whatever that one was, where that guy who hasn't scored in like an eon takes a shot and scores on a 2-on-1. Skinner's waving at that. I don't know. Does that go in on 64 other goaltenders in the NHL?
Yeah, maybe not.
I don't know. I don't even know if that goes in on Brendan.
Yeah.
It might, but there's a chance it wouldn't.
But who, like,
There's a chance.
Bennington
There's a chance of
Bennington,
but I'm making a bet that you stand at this point. You stand a higher chance of making that save than Skinner does.
I'll take that bet. Let's get me in there.
It's like, I mean, guys like Bennington, is he playing on a better defensive team or worse defensive team than the Oilers? Because his numbers are worse than Skinner, right? For example, I'm just saying.
Look
And
at
he's
the
rumored to come
difficulty of the
here.
goals is what I'm trying to say. The Oilers' defensive scheme. We're talking about how our defense leaks chances and whatnot. Well, we are giving up 14 grade A chances compared to 11 or 12 previously. But how many of these grade A chances are because we're not getting a save? Like it's not like I'm questioning these you know, a chance in front of that is a grade A chance because the goalie didn't stop it. My point is it's the goals that are going in. Like in that Washington game, for example, I feel like if we had an AHL goaltender, we'd probably come out with at least a point in that game, right? The way that the team was actually playing, right?
Yeah,
I think what you would see with the Oilers' current defensive effort and scheme is if they had a better goalie, not a top 10 goalie, but just a better goalie, they would have a lot of goals scored against them on rebounds because the goalie's making the first save. Now
that's a good argument.
And right now the goalie's not making the first save.
Yeah,
you can still get the goal scored against you. The goalie would just have a slightly higher save percentage. But the goals against average would be the same.
Would those goals go in, or would that be an easier problem to fix? For example, this team, same decor. I mean, we've arguably improved the decor with the addition of Wallman. I mean, you could argue that Wallman is better than DeHarnay, right? We've had this same decor, and you know, Woodcroft era, Knobloch era, this same decor has shown the ability to defend, right? Again, I'm not putting it all on Skinner. I'm just saying, is the defense as bad and as suspect, and do we need an overhaul like we say we do? I mean, I don't know. I've been watching the Avalanche, and I'm not saying that we're anywhere close to the level that Colorado is playing, but it's not like they play perfect hockey. They do have breakdowns. McCarr turns the puck over behind the net. The other team picks it up, but they're getting a stop. And not only that, they're getting a stop and they're not getting that rebound. The goaltender's controlling it and the play is dead, right?
Who knew the Oilers fans would miss Paul Coffey as the defense coach?
Well, I mean, is Coffey is that the answer? I don't even know. I keep seeing that. I mean, you know, you've mentioned that a few times. I don't know.
They played different with Coffey behind the bench, man. There's no denying that. I mean, Matthew Barnaby put up a video just analyzing the goals against the Oilers, and there was the Dallas game, and he's just like, you know, look at these guys' defensive efforts, garbage. And well, what did he say about Bouchard? He's like, there's Bouchard doing absolutely nothing like he usually does. I mean, this is out everywhere. It's not just the Oiler fans. And sure, he looks like a pylon just standing there. There's no urgency to get rid of
I saw that video, but I would say that it wasn't Bouchard's fault because that play that you're talking about was actually McDavid. Because McDavid went after the puck. Ekholm's got the guy. McDavid goes to him. Ekholm has to back off. He takes Bouchard's guy. Bouchard's now got to take this other guy, and then Bouchard's guy's open. You know what I mean?
Communication is not there. You're absolutely right.
Bouchard looks like he messed up, but that all started with McDavid.
Right.
I don't know. Again, if the goalie makes an effort there, we just need one save. We need one save. When we get one save, maybe that recharges the team, right?
This is what happens when a team's chasing a game too, right?
So
Leon's giveaways, Leon wouldn't force a pass when his team was up 2-0 because he didn't need to make a play. He's like, you know what, that's not. I'll skate it out. Or he wouldn't try to skate it out because I can chip it out. But when you're down 2-0, you got to do something with your time on the ice. They keep forcing it. They're forcing it all over the ice.
And I agree with you. And this is what I was going to say about Coffey. Thanks for bringing me back on track because I lost my train of thought. This goes all the way back to, I think, Game 3 maybe even game 2 of the Florida series, right? We were, talking about the D giving up and whatever. And I think that's it. The microcosm, the issue here is chasing and continuing to chase, continuing to have to chase. You're not like, there's let's try and get a lead first. That happened in Florida, and then we have to worry about like keeping that lead. That's another problem for another day. That common theme of chasing is, I think, what has led us to where we are right now, right?
Look at Florida last year, and they talked about the number of times the Panthers gave up a lead in the third period. It was basically 0. If Florida went into the third period with the lead, that was 2 points for Florida. They were good enough defensively and good enough with the goaltending that they weren't going to give up a 1-goal lead, let alone a 2-goal lead. They were basically locking it down. Now, the Oilers managed to break through a couple of times on that, but that's what a championship team looks like. You get the lead in the third period. You have the ability to limit the other team to having to come out of their zone, fighting through the trap, taking shots from the outside. You're not going to just give up grade A chances. There's not going to be those 2-on-1s or those bad pinches when you're up by a goal or 2. But the Oilers consistently, when they do get a 1-goal or 2-goal lead, they're giving up more 2-goal leads than anybody else in the league right now. So they can get the lead sometimes, but they can't keep it. And so even the times that they are doing well offensively, they find themselves, back in a even battle, and they're chasing again. Like, just the entire season has just been chasing, right from, the second intermission of the Calgary game on opening night. It felt like the Oilers were just chasing all over the ice.
I mean, they come out in the post game and say goaltending is a team effort. It's a nice way of saying that we don't have a goalie. We all got to try, but nobody really is. Like, they just have to figure it out some way where they're playing, solid D as a team, because otherwise, like you said, you're just not going to get a...
It's something deeper for sure. And maybe, the latest rumors after the last game is bang on. Maybe the team has they're giving up because, when the thing that I miss the most about the team in general is the passion. If you're getting routed 8-3 on home ice, there used to be blood being drawn, right?
They don't care.
Dallas wouldn't be walking around like that. Yeah. I'm super embarrassed. I mean, one of the good things from that game was what's the guy's name again? The kid, Kluttenberg or whatever. What's his name? Yeah. Is that his name?
Yeah.
20-year-old kid. He's the only one that showed passion in that game, right? He's in there. I can't even remember what the score is at the time. He goes in and he makes 2 crazy hits, picks up the puck, does the right thing, gets it back to the point. Why do we have one kid who's 20 years old playing with that passion? Everybody else has already packed it in, right?
Yeah, I agree.
I guess he just hasn't been around long enough.
He hasn't absorbed the culture yet. He's new. He's bringing his previous teams with him. But I think the goaltending situation probably evolves to have Ingram in the net at some point, in the next week.
Because that's early as Saturday.
Yeah, as early as Saturday. Because that's the easiest, low asset exchange type of solution. You give the guy a look. He hasn't been great in the minors, but maybe he comes up and he's on adrenaline and he gets you a win. I think that has to be something that they have to give a pretty serious look to. And then if he does well, if it goes well, you go back to him again. So you might only get 2 or 3 games out of him, but you got to give another goalie a look at this point. Because really, there's some kid in the stands right now from the University of Alberta Golden Bears who's the E-bug probably. And I take my chances with him on Saturday versus whatever the Oilers have put together in the last few weeks as far as the goaltending tandem goes.
Yeah. Try something. Maybe they'll get the team going. Maybe it'll be like, okay, a wake-up call to some degree, but you got to try something. I mean, the thing is, like you said, they don't have any assets to trade at this point for anybody because of the salary issue too, right? Kulak is only $2.6 million, $2.7 million. Majority of the names that are mentioned for goalies that we could potentially get are $5+ million goalies. So we just don't have it, right?
We should do here. I have an over-under challenge, okay, for both of you. Okay. The Vancouver Canucks have both Demko and Lankinen out for the next 4 games. So they have I don't even know their names, their 3rd and 4th string goalies are going on this 4-game road trip with them. Do those 3rd and 4th string goalies in the next 4 games have a better save percentage than the Oilers' 2 starters in the next 4 games? Because the Canucks aren't a good team. They're pretty much right there with Edmonton as far as wins this season goes.
I'm gonna say the Oilers outperform. And if they don't, we need to go and trade for one of those guys.
Well, they won't give them to us. Not his opinion.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
not unless we involve another team somehow. Stan Bowman needs to wake up.
Yeah, something's got to happen. Well, or one of these guys have to waive their no trade clause. I think the team loyalty to all these players. There was another article that's biting them in the ass. It's great that you signed all these guys, but you didn't have to give each and every one of them a no trade clause, and now you're kind of stuck, right? So, I really hope that Bowman kind of does something with another team, with another team like you mentioned, Aleem. Like, let's find a trading partner where we could get something going. But who do you trade? Like, what do you have? How are you going to get rid of the salary that's on the team?
Well, if I'm the
Right.
Canucks, if I'm the Canucks GM and I'm dangling a goalie, I'd want Podkolzin coming back the other way. Let's reverse that.
Well, I mean,
Let's reverse that mistake.
they don't necessarily have to trade him directly to Edmonton, right? Maybe they can involve another partner in crime, and he goes to Boston or something, and then we give Boston something and we pick the goalie up, right?
Give him Frederick?
Yeah, give him Frederick. This is like there's been times where goaltenders have just come out of the woodworks, right? I mean, that Andrew Hammond guy, the Hamburglar from Ottawa, comes to mind. Craig Anderson was a goaltender that was a backup at some point, and all of a sudden, got his opportunity. Dwayne Rolison was another one.
Tim Thomas did okay as a
Tim Thomas, yeah.
guy coming out of the AHL. What 30-year-old is currently kicking around the AHL that has not had his chance or that has been overlooked for all these years? That's the guy we need to go after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we're all agreed. It's like whatever the current status quo is, it's not working. It can't work. It won't work. It has to change. Yeah. They're out of track to really make that change.
Well, do you guys remember in the old NHL, there used to be like a team shakeup trade. Like they would just, like, GMs were brutal. They would just trade somebody, like even if it was like part of your core, just to wake up the team. If the team is going through crap like this, they would just do it just to piss everybody off on the team. And so you like this guy? Well, he's gone because you guys are not performing. I don't see that happening anymore. I think that we have reached a point with the Edmonton Oilers where a key piece needs to be traded to wake these guys up, like a Nugent Hopkins, or I don't even Kulak. I know we all love the guy, but he's had a crap year this year. I mean, there's no defending him. Maybe we need to shake him up like that.
What was that scene from Moneyball where they bring the guy in and they say, like, Jose, you've been traded to the New York Mets. This general manager's name is Steve. Here's his phone number. He'll send somebody to pick you up at the airport. Thanks for your time with the Oakland.
Oh, we need to do that.
I'm pretty sure Bowman's calling Darnell Nurse's agent every morning asking. It's just we have these no trade clauses, right?
How's that road trip? You like places like Carolina? Carolina seemed like a nice place to live. How do you feel about that?
I think Nurse would have some value at this point. I don't know if they could dangle Bouchard to anybody and anybody would want to take him.
You guys,
at least his full salary.
The Bouchard haters. The guy gives me fits, but honestly, he's probably one of the best offensive defensemen,
no question,
of this generation. He makes guys better. I honestly, if you want to go deep into these numbers, I was listening to somebody, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Levins or Staples or Gregor or one of these guys. If you look at Ekholm's numbers away from Bouchard, if you look at Nurse's numbers away from Bouchard, like if you look at Nurse Wallman, if you look at Nurse Ekholm, if you look at whatever, they're abysmal. They're actually like Nurse and Bouchard are playing all right. Well, Ekholm and Bouchard are playing all right at times. Away from them, those two guys are terrible with other partners, right?
Well, it's because he moves the puck. He's a great puck mover. I'll give him that. It's just in a defensive zone. I'm sorry, most of the time, he just doesn't know. His positioning's off or something. I give you that. He's a legend offensively.
I've been watching a little bit closer the last little bit, and I feel like a lot of that is there's the guy that you think screwed up doesn't always end up being the guy that screwed up. He's the guy that's left hung out to dry. He's the guy that he's got to make a 50-50 call and he gets wrong, right? We're seeing a lot of that, like behind the net. Of course, yeah, he loses a 50-50 battle, but the play doesn't, like, obviously you want him to win that 50-50 battle, but he's not going to win every 50-50 battle, right?
Yeah, no, it's not even that. I think that I have to tell you that I have been watching him. He has been making an effort. I think he watches our podcast and he's like, oh my God, these guys have identified my flaws. But clearing the front of the net is a key thing that none of these guys are doing, and nobody more than Bouchard. Like, I mean, he just stands there like a pylon with the other guy.
You brought up an interesting point. I'm just going to point this out, right? We're playing a zone D, right? There's certain guys on this team. Darnell Nurse is one of them. I feel like they still haven't got. Do you remember when Like what was the downfall of Woodcroft was after that Vegas series where they exposed us, they brought in a different scheme, and it took us like up until about now to figure out how to play, and then the next coach came in and simplified things. I mean, we might not be noticing this, but that could be an issue. One of the things is, like McDavid, for instance, can't play zone because on the back check, he's going to the guy with the puck, and head on a swivel is not happening, right? Just as an example on a few of these plays that I've seen, right? So
you're suggesting instead of maybe doing a zone defense, we switch to some sort of innovative swarm-based defense like Dallas Eakins would suggest?
Let's bring him back, right?
As a defensive coordinator.
As a defensive
coordinator.
Well, you know what? Where's Victor Fast? Where's Ben Scrivens? What are they doing right now?
Seriously.
PTO time.
Okay, hot take time. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins has done everything the coaches have ever asked of him as an Edmonton Oiler. Time to put him back into the defensive rotation because it's currently not working with the group there. He's defensively responsible. Just put him with Darnell. He'll teach Darnell how to play defensive hockey.
Yeah.
Or switch him up. Let him take over Darnell's spot and let Nurse go play left wing with Trent Frederick.
I'm trying to imagine
Bash Brothers.
I'm trying to imagine Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at 175 pounds or whatever he is, trying to throw his weight around in the corner as a defenseman. But at least he'll be on the guy. At least he'll get there, and at least he'll make a play.
Yeah.
Well, Jack Michael seems to think that he's grown into it. He's got old man strength now because he's been pushing people around a little bit. He's got that mean streak. I remember seeing him play when he was 16 in Red Deer. Like, that guy will never play in the NHL. He is just too small, too thin, no weight, good hands, but no, it's just not going to work. And then, of course, just a really small
overall. Like, that seems like a pretty high pick for a kid with that frame. And it's worked out for him. I was wrong. I can be very wrong, but that's why I'm not in charge of scouting.
Who did he beat up? Remember that fight we had?
He did fight somebody.
He chewed somebody.
I've shaken hands with Nuge. He's got mitts, man. He's got the mitts. He's got the hockey player mitts.
He said he had hands. He just didn't have the rest of a frame to go with it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's deceiving because he did beat up that one guy pretty good, and
he's wiry though.
Yeah.
That's clearly what they need. Get Nugent Hopkins back in the lineup and playing defense and dropping mitts and starting himself out there.
I mean, if anybody would do it, it'd be him, right? I mean, most nights he's the guy who's dragging the team. I love Nuge, but you can't have your leaders like Draisaitl and McDavid just moping around. You got to get this team by the nuts and you got to drag him into the fight.
Sometimes you need a guy like Mike. Sometimes you need a guy like Mike Bishai just to step up and fight the other team's entire bench.
Yeah.
You know,
we should bring Big Mac back. You know, Big Mac should come back and beat up. Yeah, he should come back.
You know what though, McDavid. I like that. I don't remember the game anymore, but somebody got hit and McDavid jumped right in, right? And it was nice to see that, but it disappeared in the last game. Hopefully, we're running short on time here. We got to wrap up.
Yeah. I'll wrap up with the thought that we 100% need to see a McDavid fight coming up pretty fast. It's the time. He's reached the end of his rope. He needs to do something to take the team by the horns. He's going to drop the mitts with somebody on Saturday night.
Hey, you guys can't say they don't watch our podcast because we called them out for not stepping up for each other, and Podkolzin took on that guy and rung his bell pretty good because he checked one of the Oilers, or checked McDavid, I think it was, dirty hit. So they are stepping in for each other a little bit more than they did before, which is great. I want to see more of that.
It's not consistent, though. I want to see more of that.
It's not consistent. That's the problem, right?
So we've done a lot of analysis today. Put your comments down in the comment section as the watchers of our podcast, and give us your best ideas on how to fix the team. And we'll add that to our conversation for next week. But that's all I got for today. Gentlemen, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm looking forward to the one game in Seattle, and hopefully they'll get this rest and come back flying like the Oilers of last year.
So let's quickly just take a look at the schedule.
Hopefully Seattle loaded up on turkey and moving a little bit slow.
Yeah, we got Seattle on Saturday. Then we've got the Wild. So we're in Seattle on Saturday.
Yeah.
We've got the Wild on Tuesday at home, and then Seattle on the 4th, and then Saturday is Winnipeg. I mean, hopefully. I guess the next time they'll play will be like our podcast will be on the Tuesday, so we'll be priming up for that Wild game. Hopefully, that Kraken game we have some good, some less complaints and more positives from that game.
Yeah, and a payback to Buffalo the game after that, hopefully.
Sounds great.
Yeah, when's Buffalo? Buffalo's done December the 9th, following Tuesday.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's wrap this one up. Thanks for your time, and happy Thanksgiving if there's anybody out south of the border watching. And we'll see you guys next week.
See you next
Sounds
week.
good.